What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron, and today we're going to be checking out the new album Life is But a Dream by the band Avenged Sevenfold. We have come a long way since they debuted in 2001 with Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, which was definitely on the metalcore side of things, and it was a solid intro into the band. Their second album, Waking the Fallen, definitely started to pick things up a little bit more for the band, started to become a little bit more popular, but it wasn't until that fateful day, almost 18 years ago, exactly to the date that this album is being released, that they dropped City of Evil and basically made themselves a household name and pushed themselves into the progressive metal side of things. Some people argue that that album is still more metalcore than anything else. I don't know, I don't really hear it quite as much on Waking the Fallen, which I believe is to be their last real metalcore album. Their self-titled album and their Nightmare album get a little bit more heavy metal and kind of Metallica-esque, and the Metallica influence fully took over on their next album, which, I don't know, I wasn't really feeling it all that much. Hail to the King is a good album, but it was just, I don't know, it wasn't really for me. Probably my least favorite one, and I felt like something was missing ever since they released City of Evil. That album was just so good, and everything after just, I don't know, it felt like it just didn't have that spark to it until 2016 when they released This Stage, which is easily tied with City of Evil as being one of my favorite albums the band has ever released, and to me it's one of the best. It's one of the best progressive metal albums there is. It's very progressive. It sounds evil, very much like City of Evil did. And it just has a great story to it. I enjoyed it so much. And now 7 years later, they are back. And I gotta say that after hearing the singles for Life is But a Dream, it didn't sound too promising. But I know myself, I know I don't really care for singles all that much. Usually regardless of how I feel about a single that's being released, it doesn't make a difference when the album comes out. It doesn't really influence me at all. So I still went into this with high hopes, even believing that the singles will work out in this album. So yeah, I was still excited about it, so let's check it out. The album opens up with the song Game Over, which starts things off following a guy who, he takes his life. He commits suicide, and the verses are very reminiscent of all the things that made up this guy's life, and it goes over it rather quickly. This is a very fast song. The chorus is skimmed over quickly. It feels really frantic, musically, vocally. The music's all over the place with a bunch of different sections that bleed into each other, which I enjoyed quite a bit. It makes it feel very theatrical, almost like movie soundtracky in a way. And then we have the song Mattel, which is it's a toy company for like making Barbie and Hot Wheels and stuff like that. And this song is full of metaphors referring to this world being like a toy or being very fake in a sense. The verse has a really good build up into a cool riff, and the effects on the vocals sound great. Again, it's super theatrical. The chorus is mostly just like a keyboard. I don't really care too much for the vocals in the chorus. I don't know. The first couple times through, M Shadows, he's got a very particular vocal sound. I like it a lot, but in this, it's just a little bit too much. His vocals, I mean, he's gotten older. His vocals sound tired. They're not as fresh sounding. They're not as full of life anymore, especially with this singing style, and I didn't care for it that much. But the final chorus, when all the music comes in, it's great. Again, it gives it that sense of like you're following a story rather than listening to the music, if that makes sense. And then we have the song Nobody, which is one of the singles that was released. I didn't care for all that much, but in this, it actually worked a little bit more in the concept of the album. It has this alarm style kind of riff that goes through the verses as it describes a person who realizes their significance of, I guess, like their personal human experience. The vocals get some melodic help from the guitar and the chorus, and the bridge afterward has this weird vocal layering duet thing going on that, again, didn't really care for all that much. They don't do it again the second time around, thankfully, and it finishes off with a guitar solo that to me was, I don't know, it wasn't too exciting. Like I said, I didn't care for this song all that much. Second time around, it worked more, but still I wouldn't call it my favorite. Then we have We Love You, which, again, another one I didn't care for all that much when it first came out. And it's about the pressures of society and the way it ruins our human experience, how we always need more. We always need more stuff. Even if you have enough money to get by or enough friends to get by in life, like, you'll be perfectly happy. But society is telling you that it's not enough and you need more. And I really appreciate the message of this. The drums really pop out in the mix, in the intro. The refrain gets the point across really well. by just never being satisfied. But the delivery in it, it's kind of weird. I didn't care for the delivery. I feel like it could have been done just a little bit differently. The chorus feels more like an attempt at having substance and having a hook to it. It didn't work out all that well for me, especially the second time around with the synth. It takes about 2.5 minutes for this song to actually start, it feels like. The quick riff ushers in the verse. It sounds really good, but by this time of the song, you're like, what the heck? Again, it's very theatrical. It's more like you're listening to a story rather than listening to music. After the solo, it goes right back into just like this, the shenanigans of the song. It goes right back into it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of confusing. The ending has an acoustic section. It's all over the place. This song felt really scattered to me, but again, it's a concept. You're following a story. Cosmic is one of my favorite songs on this album, even though the message is kind of weird. For me, it's about the perspective of somebody who's dying, and they're reassuring their lover that they will meet again in the afterlife or when they're reincarnated. The lyrics are really touching in this sense, and I enjoyed the musical progression in the verses, specifically the guitar and the synth. It just flows so well. The guitar solo was good, and it was dark, and it was super edgy, but then it just takes over the entire song. The 1.5-minute long guitar solo sounds pretty good for the first half of it, and then the second half, it goes rogue. It starts doing its own thing. It really takes me out of the mood, and I kind of forget what I'm listening to. I don't really know what the emotion this song is trying to portray to me anymore. Thankfully, a piano piece takes over and brings it right back into the beauty that this song has. And I even like the vast differences in the different sections of this song. It's very Mastodon-y in a way, and I love that. It's just the guitar solo just felt so unnecessary. Beautiful Morning has a more Avenged Sevenfold traditional sound to it, but it does remind me a little bit of Alice in Chains. It's a reflection on beauty and nihilism. It refers to different things like water, which is something you can float on. It feels really good and serene in a way, but at the same time you could sink to it and drown. The chorus has the swelling effect with long drawn out vocals. It sounds good. The bridge features M Shadows and Sinister Gates are singing on it. It's very, very theatrical yet again, with horns, trumpets, and organ. And verse 3 takes me back again to early Avenged Sevenfold just for a split second at the end. And then we have another one of my favorite songs on this album, which is Easier. It's a transformation of their 2006 demo of the same name. It's just adapted to fit the rest of this album, mostly musically. It's got a great riff. I even like the vocal performance, sounded great, especially with the effect. The solo with all the crazy sounds going on was absolutely amazing. And a lot of these songs, it took me a little bit for them to grow on me, not gonna listen. Each time I listened to them, I felt myself scratching my head trying to figure them out. But Easier was it was one of the songs I just clicked. I got it right away, and I didn't have to listen to it multiple times in order to enjoy it. And then we have the song G, which is the first song out of 3 that spell the word God in like a secret kind of way. It starts off where it sounds like you're in the middle of an Allman Brothers song. Then it goes into like a Black Label Society kind of thing in the verse. The refrain and the chorus feature Tora Stinson and Brianna Maltsova. I believe that's how it's pronounced, Maltsova. I'm not really sure who they are. They sound beautiful though. Their harmonies are absolutely brilliant. They add a lot more depth to this song. This one is another one of my favorites. And then it dives really deeply into the issues that people have with God. And they do it in a really just classy way. I really enjoyed this song quite a bit. And then we have, like I said, there's an order of songs here. The next one is Ordinary, where the O is in parentheses, as God, it's spelling God. It's about 2 robots who wish that they had a soul so they could experience all that humans do. They want to feel love and control and things like that. The verse is very funky. I enjoyed it a lot. And first verse basically explains everything that this song is. While the second verse is from almost like a different kind of perspective, as it's a lot more robotic and there's a lot more synth. It's just all around super electronical. Then we have the song Death, which again the D is in parentheses and it just completes God. It's very dreamlike and it feels almost romantic as well. I love the glimmering effect. And I just love how it suddenly turns dark just for a second before it goes back into being sublime in verse 2. And I don't know. It's like a dream. You feel like you're in a dream, and you start to slip into a little bit of a nightmare, and then it goes right back into it. And it was just, I don't know. They did it fantastically. And that brings us to the closing track, which is the title track. Life is but a dream. It is instrumental, which is basically all piano. It's pretty haunting. It works really well with the closing track. I feel like with this album, again, it's just so, it's like movie soundtrack like, and it's more about the story, it seems like, than it is about music and how they could build the music around the story. And anything other than an instrumental of this nature, I feel like wouldn't have worked quite as well, especially for how deep this concept is, and just overall just the musical aesthetic of this whole album. It flows really well from start to end, even though a lot of different stuff is going on throughout this. But you can follow the story really well in this, all the way to the end, which again, I feel like this is the perfect ending for it. So this album is good. I enjoyed it, but it's very weird. It's more of a piece of art in its concept opposed to just being music and riffs, if that makes sense. It's more like a really complex painting that you and your friend can sit there and stare at for hours and come to different conclusions of what this album or painting means. And not only that, but when you guys walk away from it, your life feels like it's changed even just a little bit just from sitting there staring at this painting. It's so complex. It's super deep. Instead of something that you just buy and hang up and it looks pretty in your hallway. And that's kind of what my issue is with this album, is it can be both. The Stage is a great example. And if we really want to get into it, there's Crack the Sky by Mastodon or Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater. It's just, I don't know, it's not easy to remember any of these songs, especially since they don't stand out all that much aside from like Cosmic and Easier for me, which are songs I enjoyed, but I don't really know if I'll go back and listen to them just because I don't know, like, it feels like it's just such a strong musical concept. I feel like they just dived headfirst into that. And they forgot that people want to hear music. They want to hear cool riffs. They want to hear crazy drum parts. And there is a lot of that in here, but that's not the focal point of it. The focal point is, like I said, it's like a movie soundtrack more than anything. And I feel like there's a way of finding like a middle ground on both of that, such as Scenes from a Memory from Dream Theater. They did that really well. They're so deep concept-wise, but at the same time, you have like the heavy-hitting riff on the song Home. You just have all these great pieces of music in there. And I could go through and pick out different songs I want to listen to. On this, it's a little bit harder to do that. I feel like they didn't hit that happy medium of being really great music to listen to and something that you could really think about. You could even look at Rivers and Nil with Where Owls Know My Name. I mean, it's just, you can definitely do both. I feel like they missed the musical part of it, of appealing to people's ears more than anything else. And because of that, I got to give Life is But a Dream by Avenged Sevenfold a 6.3 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling this album is going to be pretty divided by people who maybe feel the same way that I do, think it's weird, and other people who are just like, it's Avenged Sevenfold, I love them. So leave a comment below, let me know what you thought of Life is But a Dream. Let me know what you'd rate it and what your favorite song is. If you want to help support me and my channel, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon. And if you really want to help, please consider giving this video a like. Doing that helps keep my videos popping up on your recommended page, and it helps with the YouTube algorithm so much. And I just appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to sit there and listen to me talk about music. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you have been watching this. And I'll talk to you guys next time. I was